Hey guys, Will here. Welcome back to Modeling from the Ensign's Chair. This is episode 4 of the original series Enterprise 1350 build. And I'm ready to seal the saucer up, but I do have a couple things I want to go over and some changes I made to the internal parts here before I seal this thing up. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll get this sealed up and hopefully be ready to do some primer and some paint to this. So give me a minute. Put you on the table, we'll get to work. Alright guys, so here's where we're at. Like I said, I'm about ready to seal this up. Just wanted to go over a couple things, some changes I made since the last video. And most of it has to do with the lighting in here. So, you know, I posted that I was doing the bridge for this, and I did the bridge and I put it in, and it turned out alright. It's not the greatest piece of work I've done, but anyway, when I looked at it, I wanted to do the white dome. I wanted the dome to be white. I didn't want to use the clear dome, or the dome to be clear. So before I sealed this up and all, I wanted to make sure everything looked good. So I took the dome, I sanded the outside of it with 1000 grit sandpaper, just to take away some of the shininess, to dull it down some. And then on the inside I just did a light coat of white. Just a little spray of white on it to help diffuse the light. But when I put the dome on, with the bridge in place, I didn't get hardly any light to the dome. So it was definitely noticeable that it was way dimmer than the lights on the BC deck. So I didn't like that. So I found the only way really to get this to light up the way I wanted it to was to take the bridge out. So that's what I did. I decided that the look I was going for just wasn't going to be compatible with the bridge being in there. I was going to take away too much of the light for it. So I took the bridge out. I took those single LEDs out that were to light it up, because I don't really need them because I've got plenty of light in here with that bridge out the way. I tried to pull, I was going to pull it off of the board itself, but I was putting a little bit too much pressure on the board that I was comfortable with, so I just cut it off at the one end and left the connector plugged in, because I'm not too worried about the connector for this if I'm not going to use the lights. I'll probably find something else to use those for later. The other issue I had was the same thing, but for the lower planetary sensor dome. It wasn't that it wasn't getting enough light, it was that it had this little like reflector dish and this single LED in here, but the single LED in here is like a warm white. And everything else in here, as you can see, is like a bright white, except for my navigational lights, but those are going to be, those are okay if they're a little bit different. I'm not too worried about those. But all the other lights in here are like a bright white, and this was like a warm white. So you can notice it just really offset the color to that lower planetary sensor dome, and I just didn't like it. So I popped this out and tried it without it in there first, and I like the way it lights up better without it in there. So same thing here, instead of pulling at the board, I just snipped it off, and that'll be for later. So, but with all the lights you got in here, and I'll close this up and show you. Well, let me talk about this first. So there were those two things, and the other thing was I had shown the impulse deck where I had done the red coloring for the impulse engines, but I had a hot spot from the two LEDs here. So what I did was I just took a little piece of see if I can do this without pulling on anything too much. I just took a little piece of styrene, sheet styrene, and cut it, and you can see I just glued it right to this edge here, and it diffuses it really nice. Let me put this back together and I'll show you the results of all this. But the diffusion, I think, looks a lot better now than it did. And maybe on camera, maybe it looks the same. Maybe it don't look any different on camera. But let's see if I get this lined up. Okay. So you can see there's the impulse engines. I still get a little bit showing up on camera, but when you look at it directly, you can't really see it. Camera picks it up a little differently, but it looks a lot better like that, I think. And I'll turn this light off, and you can see that the lighting on the bridge dome definitely matches the lighting on the BC deck, so I like that a lot better. And same thing for the planetary sensor dome, matches the lighting for the underside here. So I really like the way that's lighting up now. So I think with all those changes done, I am ready to seal this baby up and do a little bit of sanding to it to get it nice and smooth. And then we'll do a primer coat with my Tamiya light gray primer, and then we'll do the actual paint itself. I picked up some more bottles of the J in gray, the XF12 Tamiya, so I've got plenty of that. I did pick up a bottle of the XF2 flat white just in case I want to tone it down, but after putting this away in the closet for a couple of days and coming back to it, I still like the way this looks straight out the bottle. You know, I can see why some people would want to lighten it a little bit with some white, but I like it the way it looks straight out the bottle, so that's why I'm gonna stick with it, because you know, if you can set it aside and come back to it and look at it a couple of days later and still like it, you should be good to go there. I don't think you're going to have any problems. But one other thing I want to mention too is before I seal this up, you've got these two clear plastic pieces that, well, actually four. There's two on this side and then two on this side that you have to put in place before you close this up. Boyd over at Truckworks has a little bit of a different way. He uses the Solarez and does it, and then that way he can mask over a little bit easier. But I don't have any Solarez, and I'm going to try to use the original kit parts. So I've got those in place. Now those you are going to use, because these parts on the side, it's for this light on the side, and for your nav light on the bottom. Now on the bottom, both lights on both sides are clear, and these lights are clear too. So let me close this up so I can show you. You can see a little better with the light coming through it. You can see that light right there on the side, and then your nav light down here on the bottom. On the bottom, these are both clear on both sides. So you're going to want to use the original kit part that comes on it, and those are parts. Get this turned around. Looks like 121 and 120. Now you do get those with the colored parts, but because they're supposed to be clear, you're going to want to use the original parts that came with the kit for those bottom ones. And then on the top here, we can put these in later after we do all of our painting. Those can go in last. Your red and green for the left and right sides. So I did end up using those parts, and that'll be it from this. I think the rest are going to come off of the colored light pieces that came with the lighting kit itself. So did all that. So like I said, now I'm about ready. I'm ready to seal this up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Get this all sealed up, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at it and try to get our first primer coat, and then try to get our J in gray put on here, and we'll see what we got. Be back in a little bit. Alright guys, so here we go. She's all sealed up. I did have to do a little bit of putty work. One side was pretty good, not much of a seam noticeable, but the starboard side had quite a bit of a lip on this side, so I had to sand it down, and then I had to do some seam filling. And then when I did that, I noticed that some of these windows I need to come back and add just a little bit more of the microcrystal clear, because they weren't quite flush. So I've done that. That's drying. Came back, sanded these windows a little more down here, and so all that's drying. That's going to take a little bit, so I'm going to wait till next episode and come back and hopefully be ready to do the painting on the next episode, because I don't want to make this episode too long, and I want to get it out before the end of the weekend. But so it's all coming together pretty good as far as the saucer section, just about there. I do need to put a little primer on here and make sure that all these seams, I think I got a little bit of a seam still right there. Yeah, I can feel it with my fingertips. So a little more work to do on that seam around the saucer here. And then we'll be ready to prime it and hopefully be ready to paint it. But So in the meantime, while that was drying, I did start working on the next section. And I got that primed or light blocked on the inside with the black. And then I put a layer of the white on there to help reflect the light. But one thing I am going to say is you're going to want to mask off on this one side. You've got kind of a trench here. And if you don't mask that off, you're going to get paint in there. It's going to be kind of hard to get it out. So what I did was I just masked off that trench all the way around. And what I'm going to do is I'll scrape, because I can scrape the paint off this side, that's not a problem. But this is a little bit of a trench that this other piece goes into. And so just my recommendation is just mask around this whole edge. And then do your light blocking and your painting. And I put the LEDs in here. It's just strip LED lighting on the inside here. These windows actually fit pretty flush for the next section. So what I did was I just put a light coat of white on the windows to help diffuse the lighting. And it's kind of a tight fit once because you really need to secure these wires to make sure they don't block your windows. So what I did was I came in and I don't know how much you can see in there because it's kind of tight, but I came with my hot glue gun and just glued the wires so that they would be held out of place and they wouldn't block my windows when I sealed it up. So let's see, we'll get this closed up. And then plug this in. So look at the power. And there we go. So she's all lit up. There is one window on here, I believe that's supposed to be red. I saw Bullard comment about that when he did his update video on his build, so I'll just take some Tamiya clear red, and I gotta figure out which one of these windows I gotta look and figure out which one it is again. I think it's this back one, but either way, I'll take some Tamiya clear red and I'll just make that, I'll get that red, and that'll be about it. Should be ready to go. And haven't decided if I'm gonna black out any of the windows on this or not. I know there's a couple on here that are typically blacked out in the series. So I'll take a look at that and see if I'm gonna do that or not. But other than that, this is probably the easiest part of the whole model to put together. So she's together, ready to go. So far the lighting kit's been okay. I've noted a couple of the issues I've had with it. They do have a new lighting kit, a new version of this coming out. I think it's for pre-sale on Colt TV Man Shop. I'm not sure if it's for pre-sale on HDA Model Works or anything like that, but Colt TV Man Shop, I believe, is taking pre-orders for it. It's a bit pricey though. I think this lighting kit, let's see, pull the box out. I think this one here, I think I paid maybe $100 for it. And maybe that's because it was being discontinued. But the new kit coming out is double that price, $200. And I think they might be pricing themselves out of the market there, because if I'm not mistaken, the kit on Tenna Controls kit I don't think is that expensive, or if it is, it's not much more expensive. And I'd go with that kit before I went with this kit with all the issues I've heard about it. So we'll just see though. We'll see what happens with it. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to do some more work on this. I got to let those, you really got to let this micro crystal clear dry for a while, so it's going to be a couple hours before I can do anything else to that. And other than that, once I get that done, next episode we'll pick up and we'll do some priming and painting on it. And we'll be ready to start on our secondary hull at that point, because I've already got the neck pretty much ready to go. So anyway, just want to say I appreciate everybody that's been subscribing. Been a lot of new subscribers, so thank you and welcome to the show. And if you don't subscribe, you don't have to subscribe, but if you like anything you see on here, just please hit the like button below. Let me know how I'm doing. But other than that, until next time, everybody, keep modeling.